Yeah. Hello, everyone. So welcome to Frontrunners Innovate. This is where we connect you to global leaders who are innovating and creating positive impact all over the world, and some people who are actually innovating solutions all over the world. And we have kind of one of those today. So I'm excited to bring him to you because I've known him for a little bit. Today's guest is Nathan Atkinson, and he is the president and general counsel of Village Juice Companies, founder of the ELETE Experience. And so we call it VJK when we speak of Village Juice Company, because we're that familiar with it around here at Frontrunners Innovate. So VJK is all about providing access to clean food, nothing artificial, just good, clean, nutritious food, and nutritious and delicious food, because, it doesn't have to be exclusively one or the other. Starting with raw juices, but it's much more than that. And that's what we'll be talking about today. Nate and VJK have expanded their operations also into an educational space. Another reason to have a conversation here. And it's a unique program that gives students in colleges extraordinary opportunities. We will learn more about that. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm your host, Mary Keurig, and I'm the Global Business Developer and CEO of Frontrunners Development. We're a global gateway to business connections that make a difference. So welcome, Nate. Appreciate you being here. And we're looking forward to learning a little bit more and sharing everything that you have to offer with our listeners. So let's get busy finding out a little bit more about you and your background. So you are actually in North Carolina, which is my state, situated, correct? And so the birth of Village Juice, or VJK, was here. But let's talk about you first. So how is it that you came into this interesting environment? Tell us the migration in your background that brought you here.
Sure. First, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Always fun to get to talk about the different projects that we have. We have a lot of really exciting things that are going on, and a lot of amazing people that are supporting us as we go forward. So I can't wait to tell you all about those. My background is rather uninteresting, I would say. I'm here in North Carolina with my wife and my 4 daughters. That part is not uninteresting. That part is amazing and keeps me on my toes, as you can imagine. But I've been here in North Carolina for about 45 years. Grew up in Winston-Salem, went to high school here, stayed around and went to college here at Wake Forest University, and really only got out of the state for 3 years to go to law school. Came back and have been here ever since. Just love being here. Great area for raising a family, and great area for being an entrepreneur and a professional. And so when I came back to North Carolina, knowing that I would want to stay, one of the things that is important to me is really trying to identify ways that one can integrate himself or his companies into the community, and identifying ways to really try and give back. And so I was a lawyer for about 20 years. I guess technically I am still a lawyer, but I practiced here in North Carolina and around the country for 20 years doing various types of litigation. And my wife is really the reason that I got into the restaurant business. She is a super foodie, into eating healthy, plant-forward meals that make you feel amazing when you eat them. And so she came back to North Carolina with just a wealth of knowledge from being in California and New York, and really all around the country, perfecting her ability to make healthy food. She had seen how food can really affect your well-being, your health, your long-term health. And so it became her passion to create a restaurant that she could bring back here to her hometown in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, and introduce it so that other people could really feel as good as she does from just eating food. And so in 2018, we decided we'd kick the tires on a pretty new concept for our area, really. There wasn't a lot of super healthy eating here in Winston. or North Carolina generally. When I grew up here, it was, biscuits and gravy and fried chicken and all the things that I still love to eat. But unfortunately, as I'm getting older, have to start mixing in some of the other options as well, so that I can be around here for a while. And so really that's where I got into this. Is Lonnie was so passionate about that opportunity. We began doing cold pressed juices, almond milk, snacks, but the snacks are all raw, vegan, gluten free, dairy free, just really tailored for anyone who is looking for a new way to eat healthy food. And really the new way is the delicious way. And so for the last decade, she's really worked tirelessly to create a menu that that does just that. It's accessible, it is delicious, and it's also super healthy. And so that's where we are in terms of our existence here in the restaurant world. We went from selling juices out of a little trailer to now having 8 locations and a few more that are on the way. And so we've just been really lucky that others have gravitated towards this type of living and eating lifestyle. It's a real movement, frankly. We've seen just an absolute change in the way students eat. We're at a number of university campuses, and the students do not eat the pizza and the tacos and the beer consumption that I did when I was at college. They now are looking for healthier options. They're looking for things that are plant-based, plant-forward, and really has fed into our ability to grow the brand on university campuses. So we're at Wake Forest, University of South Carolina, Elon, Winston-Salem State, and others, and we're growing because we see that there's an opportunity for us to get our food to students at a time when they're making really important eating decisions that are going to affect the rest of their life. So being able to put that food in front of students has been something that we've been really excited about.
That's neat. I think what you're doing lends itself to other spots, and I know that there's been conversations around healthcare facilities and that sort of thing, as far as putting, I don't know if you call it a kiosk style, but sort of I liken it to kind of a snack bar, only a specialized snack bar, if you will, to have a place where people can have options instead of hitting, sandwich spots that are, going to be maybe sort of greasy or non-healthy, in some cases, non-healthy options for them. But, maybe getting some good juices. And I think you all do bowls, don't you?
We do.
Because that seems to be the real popular thing right now, is doing these like fresh bowls with either fresh fruits or savory products in it.
It is. And the healthcare is a remarkable opportunity for anyone who is trying to find a place that needs an overhaul in their dining options. It has always stressed us, or it has always struck us as being very odd that the place that you go to eat, I mean, the place you go to get healthy is rarely the one that has the
hamburgers and 3-day-old tuna fish. Okay,
right. And so, and you're right. And so the products, the things like smoothie bowls, which are smoothies that are just created a little bit with different consistency, but added in superfoods and fruits, are a really popular way right now to kind of achieve that blend of getting food that's delicious, but also that's good for you.
I have to think about fresh products here, and I know that you have to source for that sort of thing. How do you do that with what you're doing? Because you're servicing several locations right now.
We are. So we have relationships with local food providers so that we can access local produce from here within North Carolina and the surrounding area. But everything that we use in the restaurant obviously is not grown in North Carolina. So we have a partnership with some food service providers who act as aggregators for us to go out and find the family farms, the local produce, the medium-sized farms, so that we can support those farms who are within our geographic footprint. Those farms are then their food is purchased from them and distributed to our locations that are around the Southeast currently.
Wow. It seems like quite the operation. It's really growing, isn't it?
We've been really lucky. We've got a great team that's behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We started off as a family company. We still are very much a family company. In addition to myself, my wife, her brother, his wife, her dad is our pastry chef who created a line of raw vegan pastries. We like to brag that we're the only company in the United States that has a raw vegan pastry chef who used to be an NHL hockey player. So we like to make sure that nothing that you see about our company is ordinary. We like to make sure that we find creative ways to mix things
It's
up.
a story. Yeah, I like the backstory. You brought up something. I've seen those on your website. I think I know what you're talking about. It actually is a kind of a funky name to it. The little pastries that are out there. Can you actually buy any of the products online that you have, or at least the pastries?
So right now, you have to come to a Village Juice and Kitchen to get one.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got them in any of our locations, and whether or not we're able to expand into a wholesale strategy going forward is to be seen. We've got our hands full right now with what we've
Yes,
got.
you do. Yes, you do. Well, let's talk about the hands full thing that you've got going on, because you and the team have sort of reinvented yourselves in a way, a portion of yourselves, and taken what you do and moved it a more, let's just say, extensively into the education space. So it's not just that you have locations now in some of these university spots. There's a little deeper meaning behind being in one of those locations, and it's really good for the students too. So talk to us about the ELETE experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, one of the passions, really one of the commitments that we had made when we first opened is having food that is inclusive. When sometimes you can get into, I don't know if you ever walked into, a bright, sterile, healthy, trendy salad place where, there are words on the menu like goji berries and things that people like me had no knowledge of prior to getting into my marriage with my wife. Well, that can be intimidating. And so what we try to do, and what I think we've done pretty well, is make that a welcoming environment so that everyone, whether it's somebody who has lived his or her life in the yoga, health, fitness space, and they know exactly what they want when they walk in, or if it's someone like me who has not had that level of experience with this type of food, we want everyone to feel welcome. And so as we were growing, we are on some fantastic universities. You mean some of the best in the country, USC, Wake Forest, Elon, Winston-Salem State. We're going to High Point. That's great. But where we're not is what that doesn't allow us to do, rather, is expand the reach of our products to a community that maybe has not had the same level of exposure. And so I, started looking around and doing some research and found, to my dismay, but not necessarily my surprise, that the HBCU, the historically Black colleges and universities, if you look at just looking at statistics, just looking at the numbers, the access that those students have to healthy dining options is statistically far, far inferior to most of the primarily white institutions. And so we saw an opportunity to really adhere to our mission and adhere to our values by saying, look, why is it that this disparity in access is existing and continues to exist even, in 2024? And the reality is a lot of it is economically driven. It's not that necessarily that students at an HBCU don't have the same interest in eating healthy. And it's not necessarily that the HBCU doesn't want to have additional healthy options, but if you look at the disparity in funding for HBCUs versus some of these institutions with significant endowments, you can start to see that some of the decisions are always going to invariably come down to economics. And so that just doesn't seem right to me. And so what we've worked really hard to do is identify opportunities to first identify what those economic barriers are, you know, whether it's capital expenditures, whether it's program dollars, whether it's labor issues. But we really want to work to solve the problem at HBCUs by putting, again, bridging that economic gap in whatever way we can. And so what we did is we created, and this is the brainchild of a lot of really, really passionate, really good people. We decided to create the ELETE Experience, which stands for Experiential Learning Entrepreneurial Training Experience, ELETE. And so you can go to theelite.com to learn more about it. But what we did was create that so that we could create a nonprofit to raise money to be able to support HBCUs and the students that are on campus by bringing additional healthy options, bringing the same quality of food and product that we're putting, you know, at a Wake Forest, bringing that same quality to HBCU programs. And so we see a real opportunity. It's been really well received. We've just rolled out our first location at Winston-Salem State University, and we are learning that what we had both thought and feared would be true, which is that some students are just holding back because of lack of access, whether it's cultural or access or lack of just knowledge about different foods that are really available but rarely accessed within their communities. We've introduced them, and students have just absolutely gone nuts. They love them, but they do have, you know, there is a barrier, if you will, in terms of having to get past that exposure issue so that they can have foods, try new foods, try healthier foods, and then really change their diet preferences. And so that's the healthy food component of it. The other aspect of ELETE is really the ability to marry my other interests. So in addition to food and the food industry, marrying my interest with entrepreneurship and mentorship. I've been really lucky in my career to have some great mentors. I have been really lucky to get to work on both sides of the mentor-mentee relationship with building new businesses. I've been very grateful to have been asked to help other businesses navigate some of the issues that we identified in the businesses that we've started. And so that entrepreneurship and that mentorship and that access to professionals is also on a different par at HBCUs than it is at some of the larger, more well-funded, primarily white institutions. And so we've taken this as an opportunity, much like putting healthy food onto campus. We've created with a network of just rock star mentors and advisors who know or at least understand that students are going to take greater risks and enter into a profession that they may have thought was not available to them if they have mentors and professional contacts with others that look like them, right? If you've got African-American professionals who are in a leadership position in marketing, and if you're a young Black student who may otherwise not have the same access to mentors who look like you, who have similar backgrounds that you have, who have the same types of ambitions and the same levels of interest in these different areas. We are trying to create, again, with, I've got an informal advisory board of 15 just rock star professionals. We've got alliances with some phenomenal professional athletes, some amazing corporate sponsors and corporate backers who say, you're right, there is no reason why an HBCU should have less access to those types of experiential learning. And so what we do is we marry the idea of creating these nonprofit, these mentorship opportunities by putting it within the nonprofit. How can we create a system where these students get access to professional workshops, they get access to professional mentors. But more than that, what we do is we put a business onto campus like a Village Juice that provides healthy options for food, but we marry that with the entrepreneurial program. So the students that we are interviewing for the fall to serve as what we're calling an SEO, students have an option or an opportunity to come in and get academic credit, get scholarship money, get stipends, and then have a relationship with the ELETE Experience and other on-campus entities like an Aramark, for example, at Winston-Salem State, our very first location. The student, her name's Patience, and she's amazing. She's got a passion for marketing and food and beverage entrepreneurship. So we thought, great, let's have her come in. She gets a stipend, she gets credit, she gets paid so that she can really focus on creating an experiential learning opportunity to take what she learned in the classroom and apply it to her position, in this case on campus with Aramark or with us doing marketing for the location on Aramark. So, I know I'm kind of doing word salad on you, but it's an amazing opportunity to identify a pipeline of students who otherwise may have traditionally gone overlooked, to give them an opportunity, them being the students, give them an opportunity to have access to all of these things, from the credit to the cash to the introductions. But it's a win-win for everyone, creating a pipeline of students who then have introductions to our corporate partners. That's win-win for corporations. When I talk to some of these international giants who are looking for opportunities to access talent pools, they're grateful that this is a pipeline opportunity to access HBCU students in a way that previously has been something that has not happened. So it's exciting.
It is exciting. It's extraordinary what it is, because when you think about the students at these universities that actually have the opportunity to go from soup to nuts. I mean, they get the opportunity to work, to get some money for that, get their credit, like you said. But what I think is most exciting is to turn on the entrepreneurship light inside of them and have them understand, I can do this. There's an opportunity here for me, not only just to learn and grow, but also to potentially down the road, not only see myself in a career maybe that mirrors what they're learning, but also to step out and actually become an owner and an employer someday, which is really the heart and soul of entrepreneurship. It's the way that communities are built is on, entrepreneurship and small business. So you're contributing to economic development in a lot of ways. So, when you look at it down at the end of the pipeline of that, it's bigger than you even know it is. But I love that. So this is a big undertaking, what you're talking about. And I know you're working with UNCF and some other universities, historically Black colleges and whatnot with that. how, I know it has to be sort of an incremental growth to be able to push something like this out. How does that roll out? I mean, where are you looking at next? Do you have any direction, pathway on that?
We do. And you mentioned UNCF, United Negro College Fund, and the partnership that we have with them. Really having an opportunity to partner with someone of just such a great reputation and great access to the HBCU, so the HBCUs that we're interested in helping with these programs has been just really amazing. And so the United Negro College Fund has pledged 2 full scholarships per year for the next 5 years to be divided up for students within the schools that are served by UNCF who participate in our program. And so they have, I think, over 10 HBCUs who are interested in the program currently. We are largely following their lead on identifying which HBCU is next on the list and how to build out that pipeline. But we do have already, just based on the success of this one pilot program, well over 10 schools who are interested. And then, the partnerships that we create with a school like Winston-Salem State, who again is magnificent in providing support and helping us to create the curriculum. We have been really lucky with the professors there, who, especially Professor Notice, who Dr. P, who has helped us kind of look around each corner and say, yeah, okay, I know you think this is the way it's going to work on campus, but here's actually the way it does. Welcome to academia. And so we've had to pivot some, and you asked, how quickly we want to roll things out. I am one of those types of people who rarely takes his foot off the gas, but I am learning that to build this the right way, really taking the time to interact with the universities, hear what they need, hear what the students need. And it's not just what we think. It's really having that type of a dialogue.
It's always a surprise, when you ask what they need.
Absolutely. So just listening and hearing what they have to say in terms of their needs is really important to us as well.
Well, I want to bring up, because I believe that this is true, I want you to validate this for me, that really your program is open to any university that's geographically, I guess, where you can reach to them, that has a population that would be interested in something like this. Am I correct in thinking so?
You are. So we rolled this program out with a focus on just HBCU campuses. And what we kept getting feedback from our informal board of advisors, which is 90% African American, 45% women, trying to getting a feedback loop that gives us some level of diversity and insight into how we should grow the program, where it can maximize our effect. They said, look, let's start at HBCUs, but there are plenty of students that are overlooked within other programs as well. So we have, as I like to say, we're building the airplane as we fly it. If that's where the program takes us, then that's where we're going to go. Because our mission really is to provide as much opportunity for Black students to have the same access to mentorship and entrepreneurial training as other students at other universities.
Right. And I think you extend that to any minority, actually, that really, well, basically anybody, any student that just doesn't have the equity of access, equal access to something like this. And I think of, community colleges, particularly, you and I both are in North Carolina, so we both know that there are some more rural areas that have community colleges that are more technical trade sorts of schools, and being able to embrace, this type of work opportunity that could lead to something more than that down the road, is just extraordinary. So I applaud you for what you're doing there. What types of partners, this is a fairly new offering that you've got, that you put together, that is just launching as we speak, pretty much. I mean, you've already got a pilot going, and you've already got some, the partnership with the HBCUs and whatnot, but it's still fairly new. Where do you see partners coming from that you need to help grow the program?
Well, I think right now we are in both an awareness phase, as well as still in a very early organizational phase. And like I said earlier, we're still learning about how we can make this program as effective as possible. So we are still learning a lot from Winston-Salem State. We're learning a lot from UNCF. And so as we are kind of emerging from this into even more of the awareness phase, really what we're looking for are individuals and institutions that have a like-minded view of providing this type of access to students. And yes, of course, we're going to need some funding to support it, which is why we have had some pretty amazing conversations with institutional organizations for that type of assistance. But really more than that, just finding advocates that will either make connections for us within the HBCU community, or continuing to build out our cadre, if you will, of mentors. So, if you are someone who has a skill set that is transferable through a mentorship program, and you see the benefit of this, we'd love to talk to you, because what we're trying to do is create just a breadth of talent and a breadth of individuals and institutions that are willing to, take that introduction, take that opportunity to be a mentor, take that opportunity to be an inspiration to our students. And so, for example, we've got a partnership we're announcing with Chris Paul and his foundation. What we ask from Chris Paul is just help us spread the word, help us get the introductions to the individuals who can help with the program. It's great to have a superstar like Chris who is willing to lend his name to our, again, the awareness phase. And so we're just trying to build our Rolodex of allies and supporters as we're growing.
Fantastic. I think of, corporations out there that maybe are in the food industry that maybe would love to be able to say, I would like to donate 2 scholarships, maybe through you, to do what you want to do with, a college that's in need. And so that's not out of the realm of possibility with you, correct?
No, it's right in our wheelhouse. That's right. Okay. I'm finding institutions that are willing to make that commitment to young people's lives.
So they can actually identify, I would like them to I'd like to make sure 2 students get to go through this year or next year or however they want, and that they could donate the money for that program. I think also just, like you've already identified, some of the suppliers that have supplies for the food industry is very good. And the foundations, like, almost every institution of education out there has foundation. And so being able to understand the value of what your opportunity is, which is from training to, to cash to, and scholarship to, potential job in the industry is remarkable. You just don't get that everywhere. So I applaud you for that. Took a lot of thinking through, a lot of details. And like you say, you're still kind of gathering the feedback and learning from it, like any good program would do, and figuring out the impact that you're having, once you get rolling with everything. So we'd love to be able to say to everybody that's listening, support as you can. Educational opportunities like this just don't come along every day. This took a lot of effort on VJK's part and the ELETE Experience, and creating and opening the door to something this big for students is life-changing. And it truly is. And we really appreciate everything that you're doing. So good for the students that get this opportunity. We will
Well,
be
thank you.
watching and listening and looking forward to maybe catching up with you again once everything kind of is in a cycle and rolling, and maybe interviewing you with a student that's going through it. And that would be kind of a cool thing to do. I like that.
That'd be really cool. I
Yeah.
love that. And really appreciate your time. Just being able to, this is obviously a passion project for me
Yeah.
and so many others, to be able to create this type of experience for students is just a real blessing.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate it. So I'd stay with me just a second. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else and say, if you're watching this on any of the myriad of channels you get your podcast, go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com. You'll get this interview and ways to connect with Nate, and take a look at the links that we'll provide for you there. And be sure to do what you can to support this really worthy opportunity for students. We really appreciate it. So thank you again. Bye-bye.